destroy.
This is Group B, Fantasy versus Mini. Now, Fantasy is a known quantity. He's an amazingly consistent player, has been for many years. On the other hand, Mini is kind of a mystery to me. I know for a fact he's played at least 10 games, though, because before the games, they showed the last 10 games the players played and the wins and losses. So, and he had the full 10 games, so I was like, oh, he has more than Rush at least. Except, down at the 5 o'clock position in purple is Fantasy. That means up at the 2 o'clock position in beige is Mini. And they also showed Fantasy's last 10 games before this match. And it was like win, 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 loss. Win, 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 win. So yeah, Fantasy is still playing amazingly. And he has for many years. In fact, Fantasy just started breaking out in the scene when I started commentating. So I have very vivid memories of when Fantasy was still kind of a noob. He was a very impressive noob, of course. Made it to the finals versus Stork. He was royal roading his way up, I believe. But didn't manage to get it done. He almost beat Stork. Almost beat the best Protoss versus Terran player out there. But not quite. And, well, he did later. I have to amend that statement now. I used to be able to say that, but now I can look back and say, yeah, he's crushed Stork 3-0 in a final before. So yeah, I guess that's kind of evened up now, eh? Let's get some predictions from the Nukenites before this thing heats up. Here's one from Guggle21000. Writes, I think we will finally have a TVT final in this OSL. Flash versus Fantasy. And you know what that means, Nuke? Crazy cheesiness in all games, because there is no way that either one of them has the stamina to play a best-of-5 TVT. Although 5 hours of tank siege line sounds kind of cool in its own way. Go Fantasy! Another one from Thomas is a Sick Person, writes, is it me or did Fantasy get a free pass through the round of 16 card? I'll wager 10 mighty Monopoly dollars as he won't make it. That he won't make it, I think he meant it, right? Hell, I'll wager my left pinky. Go Royal Roaders, rush him to elimination. Well, so he's rooting for Mini in this one. Interesting. Cybernetic score coming up for Mini. He hasn't even gone out to scout yet. I've seen a few Protoss players do this against Terran, just trying to get a bit of a leg up by keeping their scouting probe at home to mine a bit longer before moving out. It's risky, very, very risky. I mean, the Fantasy could have just built his barracks in the middle of the map. Might have been pushing forward with tons of Marines by now, but looks like Mini got a bit lucky in that regard. Let's get another prediction from Sagebird Toph. I have no idea how to pronounce that. S-A-J-B-E-R-T-O-F-F-E. Sagebird Toph. I gave it my best shot, man. Mini's going to walk the royal road. He's the next Protoss dragon, eagerly sitting in his egg, incubated by Cal. This OSL symbolizes his struggle to hatch. Nice metaphors you got there going, Sagebird. Sagebird. Alright, Fantasy moving out with a few Marines to the front, going to establish a defense at his natural expansion. He moved right up there with his 4 Marines immediately, and he's got the bunker just about ready to come up. And since he knows that the Dragoon is kind of early, he wants to have his defenses ready to go so he can protect his next base, which should be plopping down anytime now. But a Vulture is already snuck out for Fantasy, went for the factory first before going for his command center, as a lot of Terran players do against Protoss. They go for the barracks, they defend with Marines as long as they can, then get out the tank. But a Vulture is snuck by, and I don't think Mini knows anything about this. This is a completely secret Vulture, and it's going to try to sneak in and get some probe kills. This could be very interesting if it isn't scouted. Fantasy's keeping an eye on that Dragoon with the SCV. He's playing this very smart, but I don't think he knows about these other 2 Dragoons that are flooding out of the main, but he might have the timings down in his head, thinking about, well, the Dragoons are probably moving out now. I might be able to move in here in just a second. But you can see the first-person view of Fantasy. He's kind of biding his time with the Vulture, hiding it, making sure it's hidden first before moving in. But now I think he is going to move in with that Vulture. He's protecting his natural expansion, which is just now being built. He's moving inside the main now with his Vulture, getting stopped by the Dragoons. That was almost an excellent attack. Almost. But he should be able to defend anyway, even though pumping that Vulture put him a bit behind and getting his second base up and rolling. He has the tank at the front, which will have the siege soon, I think. But here comes Mini. He's going to try to go for that tank. The bunker is still up, however, picking at those Dragoons, getting a lot of shield damage on them. So Mini's aggressive attack is going to be shut down here, it seems. I don't see a lot of reinforcements flooding down or anything for Mini, but so far Mini's looking very strong. Strong, confident player. He's trying to go for the tank, I think. He snipes one SCV. He didn't quite see the opportunity he needed to snipe the tank. Just got in close. He's like, well, not close enough to the tank. Might as well snipe an SCV and then get out of there. So a nice aggressive opening from Mini. But now Fantasy has his second base up and mining, and Mini is building his own second base at the moment as well. Hasn't warped in yet, so he's going to be a little bit behind Fantasy, but not that much. Let's see, starting a pylon wall at his natural expansion. He knows that Fantasy is known as the Vulture Terrorist, so you want to have as many anti-Vulture defenses as you can possibly muster versus a player like Fantasy. Always good to invest in that, and all of Fantasy's... Fantasy's finals in the past, especially against Stork. Stork was prepared for that in the first final they had in 2008. He had tons of pylon walls, not just pylon walls, but like Templar Archive walls, Observatory walls. He knows how to play against Fantasy, and it seems that Mini is kind of taking that same route as well. Let's see... Some Dragoons kind of inside that main, hoping to intercept a drop. If he can find it. Mini is scouting up at the 12 o'clock position, I see. Possibly looking for drops. Looking for anything sneaky from Fantasy, Vulture drops, something like that. But the Vulture's moving up on their own volition up to the 12 o'clock position. Might get ready to sneak through that natural somehow. I saw an SCV moving up as well. Possibly to scout, but... yeah, this is the third base getting ready to be plopped down, I think, since there is a pylon coming down at the 12 o'clock